What's up, Bellator Nation? Big John McCarthy here. Today we are looking back at my top 10 favorite Bellator fights for 2020. You're going to see some brutal knockouts, some amazing submissions, and you're going to just see some great all-around fights. You won't believe who I have at number one, so let's get right into it. Coming in at number 10 is a fight that I really enjoyed. It was at the beginning of the year. It was Alfred Khashakyan, a guy that came in with a ton of knockouts against Sergio Pettis, making his Bellator debut. Alfred Khashakyan came out throwing bombs. And in the beginning, he was landing some really good shots. Sergio Pettis kind of got that timing, understood the distance, but even on the shot that he ended up landing that put Khashakyan down, and I thought put him out at that moment, he even took a shot to deliver that shot. And that just shows the fight IQ, knowing I am going to end up having to take a shot to deliver the shot that's going to help me get my win. Sergio Pettis showing fight IQ, also showing incredible fight IQ and not going after just the ground and pound. Once he had hurt Khashakyan, locks in the submission, knowing he has a dynamite guillotine attack. Once it's on, he's got it. He puts Khashakyan to sleep. Both of these guys showed a ton of heart and a ton of cojones. They went after it, and that's what made this fight so good. And that's why I have Sergio Pettis versus Alfred Khashakyan as my number 10 pick for Fight of the Year 2020 in Bellator MMA. All right, coming in at number 9, this is a fight that I was really looking forward to. Both undefeated at the time, guys that come into the cage and throw big shots, but are very smart in the way they do it. Jornel Lugo against Schyler Sootho, a big-time kickboxing background, Muay Thai, and a guy that loves to come forward. This was a fight that I was absolutely looking forward to, and man, did it deliver. Jornel Lugo fighting the kind of fight that I love to see. Using his brain, being smart, footwork, angles, all the things you want to see out of a very talented young fighter. And Schyler Sootho going after him, not caring about being damaged, just wanting to get the win. In the end, Schyler Sootho showed exactly how tough he is, went after Jornel Lugo with everything he had, but the Matador was better than the Bull in this fight, and Jornel Lugo came away with a unanimous decision, one that I totally agree he deserved.
Thank you so much, everybody who helped me out for this fight.
So coming in at number 8, I had Juan Archuleta against Patchy Mix, a world title fight that delivered from the very first round all the way through the 5th round. When you go back and you watch this fight, you're going to see things that most people don't really understand about the fight game. The first thing is, you don't need to win every round. You don't have to win all the battles to win the war. And that's what Juan Archuleta showed by having a very high fight IQ and allowing Patchy Mix to actually have his moments in the first round and just survive those things. Let him work hard, make him press, make him have to get to that point where now his heart rate is elevated, and now I'm going to try to push him another step beyond. And that's what Juan Archuleta did in this fight. Patchy Mix had his moments, and he was winning those first couple rounds. But Juan Archuleta, knowing I've got a gas tank, I know how to push the pace, and in the end, I'm going to drag him into deep waters, and I'm going to drown him at the end of this fight. That's basically what he did, but you have to give it to Patchy Mix. He was always coming after Juan, trying to land the big shots that were going to get him back into that victory column by winning the round. He just couldn't pull off those last 3 rounds. It was a 2-round, first and second to Patchy Mix, third, fourth, fifth going to Juan Archuleta, which made him become the Bellator Bantamweight Champion of the World. Coming in at my number 7 was Raufeon Stots against Keith Lee. Both of these guys, just superb athletes, superb fighters. What made this fight so good was Raufeon Stots was able to use his speed, but use his footwork to keep Keith Lee to the outside when he wanted, and then come in and close that gap and use his superior grappling to just wear on Keith Lee. He made his arms get tired. He did things that a smart fighter does against a superb athlete, which Keith Lee is. There's no doubt about it. This kid is incredibly good and is only going to get better. But Raufeon Stots improved his record to 15-1. He is on a 7-fight win streak, and he is somebody who is knocking on the door, looking for that title opportunity. It's either going to be to the title opportunity. Does Bellator put on a bantamweight Grand Prix? I hope they do. Raufeon Stots will be the man you will be seeing in that tournament if it comes about, and he will be someone that everyone will have to really be careful of dealing with. Coming in at number 6, and there was definitely some bad blood brewing between these two fighters. Aaron Pico taking on John De Jesus. When you watch this fight, you see the improvements that Aaron Pico has made as a mixed martial artist. Both of these guys showed a ton of talent, but Aaron Pico absolutely showed that he is for real now. A guy that is learning how to be the complete mixed martial artist, not relying on one skill set, not wanting to knock everybody out right away. You can go through some time and then do it later on in the second round like he did in this fight. And if you notice, once he was done and the referee pulled him off, you heard him yelling, 1-4, 1-4, because he had scouted John De Jesus and he knew that combination and he waited for it. He heard the corner, he knew it was coming, and that's how he landed that knockout blow. Coming in at my number 5 was Vadim Nemkov against Ryan Bader. You got to figure Ryan Bader had left the light heavyweights. He was the champion, but he went up to fight in the Grand Prix for the heavyweight title and the Grand Prix championship. He ended up winning it. So this was his first fight coming back down into the light heavyweight division, a thing that I said I didn't think he should do. He got used to fighting at that weight. He was used to fighting guys that he was faster than, and in coming down into fighting Vadim Nemkov, he was going to be fighting a guy that was actually faster than Ryan Bader, and that always means trouble. In any fight, there's moments that you can look at and say, this is a change of what is occurring in the fight. One of the things when you're watching Ryan Bader is awesome when he's coming forward. When he can dictate the pace and place and position of the fight, he's hard to beat. You see guys trying to force him back, but many of them can't. You did see Vadim Nemkov in this fight. He started off moving backwards, but after just a little bit, that movement changed, and it was Vadim Nemkov coming forward, forcing Ryan Bader backwards, where he is not as effective as an offensive fighter as he would like to be. It was a big difference in the fight, and it's what set up the inevitable end and the win for Vadim Nemkov, the Bellator light heavyweight champion of the world. All right, coming in at number 4, El Cuatro is the Hungarian kid, Ádám Borics, against a last-minute replacement in Mike Hamel. I want you to think about this. You come into a fight. You haven't really had a training camp, but you come into a fight against a guy who's only been defeated one time in his combat sports career. What can you do? Just fight your ass off. That's all we wanted, and that's what Mike Hamel gave us. Think about this. He came into this fight. He lost a split decision against a guy that had only been defeated once. That tells you how well he fought. He fought so well, he got signed to a contract because everyone wants to see a guy like that fight again. It was an incredible back and forth fight. Ádám Borics won the fight. He did. He landed the cleaner, crisper shots, but it took a dance partner like Mike Hamel to bring the best out of Ádám Borics, and that's what he did, and that's why it is my fight number 4. All right, we are down to the top 3 Bellator fights for 2020. 2020 was a crazy year. We had some crazy fights. Agree with my ranking so far? Let me know what you think. Coming in at number 3 is a fight that we all were looking forward to. It was part of the featherweight Grand Prix. It was a fight we knew was going to be special. And in the end, although it was short, it absolutely was a special fight because A.J. McKee versus Darrion Caldwell. Let's talk about this fight because going in, A.J. McKee had been a guy undefeated in his career, but it was always his wrestling. He was always the better wrestler than every opponent that he had ever fought. But coming into this fight, there was no doubt that Darrion Caldwell was the better wrestler. We're talking about a guy that was an NC2A champion out of North Carolina. And even AJ McKee knew, I'm going to end up on my back. He didn't care. AJ McKee pulls out what we call the McKeeatine and gets a big-time submission victory in the first round against ex-champion Darrion Caldwell. We are down to the final two. My number 2 fight of 2020, Bellator MMA, goes to the Outlaw. Sidney Outlaw versus Ádám Piccolotti. I'd love this fight. If you come from a grappling background like I did, man, this fight had it all. These guys went after it in every scenario of grappling you could think of. The clinch work up against the cage was incredible. The takedowns were fantastic. And then the scrambles in between, the transitions of one guy trying to get that advantage, the other guy saying, no, I'm not going to give that up, fighting to the very end for positioning so they could come away with a win in this fight. I love this fight. Non-stop action on the ground. A lot of times, some fights can be boring when they hit the ground. This one proved that does not happen all the time when you get two guys that know what they're doing and go for it all the way, every minute of the fight. This is the kind of ground game battle you can see. These two were amazing. I loved it. Sidney Outlaw gets a split decision victory against Ádám the Bomb Piccolotti, but there were no losers in this fight, and the fans definitely won. Coming in at my number 1, I know it's not the fights that people are going to expect, but I always look for those ones that were just different, just special. And this fight was special. A guy making his Bellator debut and Shamil Nikaev against a fighter that we have seen multitudes of times in Kemran Lachinov, a man that is absolutely crazy. He will put his hands down and let you hit him on the chin and then laugh at you. But he wasn't the only one, and that's what made this thing so much fun. I had seen Nikaev fight in Russia. I had refereed him before. I knew that he was good everywhere. He is an outstanding fighter. But Lachinov is a guy that is so tough in the stand-up, has an incredible ground game, beautiful leg lock submissions. I knew this was going to be a fun fight, and it was way better than I ever expected. By the end, this fight was one thing dynamic. Throughout my career as a mixed martial arts referee, I was able to be part of some of the epic battles that have taken place in the sport of MMA. One of those was Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald. You ask people, what kind of fight you want to look for? You want to tell me a fight that I want to see that will make me fall in love with MMA. That was one of the fights that I would tell them about. And now I will include one that goes by Nikaev versus Lachinov at Bellator 254. It's the type of fight that makes someone an MMA fan for life. That about wraps it up. What were your top 10 Bellator fights for 2020? Let me know. Put it down in the comments section and be sure to hit that subscribe button and give me that thumbs up.